from struggling to find friends to actually building real community. And we all know like this can be a definite journey. Um, and I will say this, there were many years where I actually struggled to invite people, where I couldn't maybe think of 20 people where I was like, oh, I would want them to be at my birthday. And so I would then basically, I ended up just sometimes just inviting a few people, and or didn't do anything at all. And so, but this year it was there very different. And I almost want to say, and I know we hate saying this, like, it's like when you're building your circle, it'll happen when you least expect it. And I feel like sometimes it's subtle, like the work that you're putting in to make friendships could be subtle. And sometimes it's not right in your face. And I think that's why sometimes when people are meeting new people, they'll tend to say, oh, well, this is not working. Like right away, they'll say stuff like that. But from this experience that I'm about to share, because I'm gonna basically be giving some sauce and like stuff I did and stuff that didn't work, when it came to building friendships. And I'm not saying I arrived, guys. Like it's still like a whole like process, that I'm always working towards. Because friendships is always evolving. It's always gonna change. Yes, you can keep some friends along the way, but sometimes you're gonna always be making new friends because it doesn't just stay in one certain way. Um, and this was a year where I looked around and realized like I actually built a circle. I actually like built friendships that I liked that were healthy. And I don't believe it happened by accident. I believe it happened by doing a course of things and like basically taking it day by day. But the first thing I want to just say to you guys is release any expectations in terms of how you feel a friendship should go or how you feel a friendship should start. Um because I feel like that's usually the downfall of it and like why most people um sometimes they're not making friends because you have this expectations. And I noticed because I had them where I was like, okay, it has to be a this certain way and all that stuff, but sometimes it's not gonna happen like that. So one of the first things was I stopped waiting for friendships to magically happen. Um and what I mean by that is I spent a lot of years just when you just spend a lot of years where you're just kind of waiting for someone to invite you to somewhere or you're waiting for someone to make the next move. Um and it comes to a point where you have to make the decision where you're like, okay, obviously waiting is not working. So I need to put myself in rooms where my ideal people is. So for my case, that was me going to Mexico solo for the first time ever. I was scared. And I remember I just got this thought where I was like, okay, well, I can't stay in my room. And the only way to meet people is I need to get out there. And mind you, I never did this back home, like when I was in Toronto. Okay. And so I decided to do salsa dancing. And basically, salsa dancing was the way that helped me make friends. And this was the start of my journey of learning to be in my solitude and learning to work from the inside out. Um, and then what would happen is then once I met one friend, it kind of like it starts to have this domino effect, right? And then she started to introduce me to her other friends, and then she would take me places around, and then we'd eat together as a whole, as a group. Um, and basically just joining a community changed the game for me. And that's how it changed my mindset. So when I came back to Toronto, I was like, okay, I need to do something different. Um, I was like, I need to do something different and apply the same principles that I did when I was solo traveling in Mexico to here. So then the next point was you have to learn that consistency matters. So it's just not enough to meet someone once and then expect the world and then be upset that it fizzles out. Okay. Like you have to be past that. So let me give you an example of this. So about I think about 3 years ago, so Bumble had these events, okay, for friends. And they're doing consistent events around Toronto. And what ended up happening is I would go to them over and over again. Notice I didn't say I went once. So I would keep on going to these different events. And eventually what was happening is people would start to get to know you and you start to slowly like build your friendship group. Um and it was to the point where we start to like collect people's emails and like organize basically separate meetups. Like we did like barbecues in like Toronto Island, stuff like that. Um and what I learned from it was the more I showed up, the easier it was to connect. Um, and basically, one event can introduce you to a lot of people. But then when you start going over and over again, and the community starts to build, like we often think like it's this magical thing where it's like, oh, you meet the person, and then naturally like um things should just happen and fall into place. But a lot of it goes into putting effort into doing the same thing over and over. Like, so like going to the same events over and over. So maybe you choose an event and you do it, you decide to say, okay, I'm gonna go to it weekly. Or you choose to go to a restaurant and you go weekly. Like I recently heard of a girl where she said she did that, where she would go weekly and then she started to know the staff and then they started to treat her differently. Now it's not so much related to like friendship, but it's like she's building a relationship. So it's like you have to find something that you can do consistently, whether that's weekly or bi-weekly, like a community that you can like be a part of, that you have interest in. Okay. So another example is this could be like in business. So my interest is business. So I started joining these communities within business, and then whenever they have an event, so like if there's like a brunch or they maybe have an informational session, I will tend to go. So even if it's like that one's maybe about once a month or so, but then now I'm starting to get to know the organizer, right? And then you start to meet people, or sometimes you start to meet similar people. And I've actually made like I've had a few friendships catch up from that, like catch on. So notice I didn't say like, oh, it was like everyone. No. So like you may go to an event or you may go somewhere and you end up connecting with one person. That one person's worth it. So you may not connect with all five people. Like it's just not realistic, right? But what matters is that you're consistent and you're showing your face, you're being visible. Like that is key, is that you want to be visible in the space that you are in, okay? Another point is you have to learn to follow up. You cannot wait for other people to do this for you. You just can't. So basically just getting someone's Instagram or getting their phone number is just the first step. Like, it's just a first step. It's not the last step. And I know that when you're getting someone's contact info, especially if you made a friendship, new friendship, you could automatically have this satisfaction, like this gratification. And I feel like that's the reason why like most people end up not actually following up because they're like, well, I got a number now, so we're all good. And then before you know it, no, basically before you know it, no one actually reaches out, and that's a problem. So no one actually reaches out. And then before you know it, there's like a huge like distance of when you first and last met. They may not even remember you now, or then it just gets awkward to reach out. And my biggest thing is you have to be the queen of follow up. Like if you're trying to make friendships, you need to follow up with them and just start even having conversation. Hey, how's it going? Like, how's everything going? Like it can be as simple as that. And say, hey, like, do you want to like meet up for coffee, whether next week, no pressure, something like that. And then you start doing like you go to a brunch or whatever you like doing your activity. Pickleball, like tennis, like find something that you guys can both do common ground and then plan it. Um, in the beginning, you're gonna have to put pressure. It's contrary to what we say, right? Like in general, but like you have to put pressure in the beginning, especially if you want what you want. So how I think of it is like it's almost like you have to create your own party. So like if you want something to happen, you have to make it happen. Like you can't wait for other people because you wait for other people. It's like if you wait for other people, you may not end up doing anything at all. And so in the beginning, you may have to put all the effort in. It may feel one-sided. Like that friendship maybe have to be a little bit one-sided in the beginning until you can get to the point where then they start reciprocating, basically reciprocating, right? And they start returning it and then contacting you, that type of thing. But it has to start with someone, and it has to start somewhere. Okay. Um. So the main point is you have to be the queen of follow up. Like, don't wait on someone else to be the follow up. You have to narrate the story. Like, that's a good way to put it. Is you have to narrate the story and how you want it to go. You control the flow of that friendship, right? And it's just the way it is in the beginning. It's not gonna be like forever. You're not gonna be like, oh, like I need to do this. Like, it's not gonna be something forever. Like, if it's forever and the person's not reciprocating after a while, then you need to let that friendship go. But if it's a friendship that you admire and you would like to see it progress, that's your sign. Another thing is talking about consistency. Like, you need to nurture the community that you have. So something I wish is that when Bumble stopped and it's like basically hosting events for friends in Toronto, one of the things I wish I did was I continued to basically nurture the community that we had built. But I remember I just got fear, and then I was like, I backed out. I was like, oh, maybe they're not going to be interested, and then didn't do it. And when I think back, I was like, oh, I wish I just nurtured what we had because what you're gonna discover is, yes, like you continue socializing, which you should be, but like once you start making a connection, like it's better to just nurture those connections that's working rather than always starting from scratch again. Because it can get discouraging, especially if you're, trying to get something out of it. Um, and so my biggest thing is nurture your community, um, and if you have had friends that you haven't contacted in a while, contact them. Say hi. Like most of the time they're not gonna shoo you away. And you may have to recultivate again, like power it up, but it's just better to just nurture that friendship. So another thing too, um, use Eventbrite if you haven't already. Like, so if you're like, okay, well, Nikki, I don't know where to go or I don't know where to start, use Eventbrite. Instagram. You could use local groups. Um, and so what you would do is you could search your city and then say social events for friendships or friendship meetups. And you're gonna find a mix of events. Like this is on Instagram specifically. And I find this actually works because you'll see like a bunch of different like posts where people have events. Um, and the thing about it is the reason why you want to do this, like based on what your interest is. So maybe you're looking at, women's events or salsa or art nights, book clubs, wellness events, R&B nights, networking events, like whatever you're into. Because what ends up happening is Instagram will actually end up start pushing out events to you in the algorithm because it starts to see, oh, you like going to events, eh? And it'll start pushing to you. So I also often get people asking like, "Oh, how do you find these events?" And I'm like, literally, it's like it's usually Instagram. Like if you just scroll through your stories, it'll start to like start pushing events that it'll think you're interested in, or it could be just like scrolling in the feed. And that's one way to do it because you technically don't have to do the work. You just basically as you're scrolling using the app, it'll just push things that catch your eye, and then you stop it, and then you look at it, and then maybe you buy it. Um, so let the algorithm basically help you find community. So another thing is Eventbrite. It's the same thing. You'll just start typing in or look through categories. I think that's the easiest, or just put your city in and see what pops up. And start going to different events. Like you won't know necessarily what you like or what like clicks until you actually go. Um, like you can make this easy for yourself, especially if you're like, okay, like I may be awkward or I don't know anyone yet. Like it can be simple as going to an event that you enjoy doing that looks like has the aesthetic. You like the sky is your limit. Like I recently came across an event on that I found on Instagram, like a community that I found on Instagram, where they're doing this dinner in July, and it's basically like a little nice like aesthetic dinner, and they're getting women together to be able to connect. And I was like, okay, you see, there's stuff out there, so it's just a matter of like, it's just a matter of you figuring out, okay, what is it that you like and what do you want to be a part of? Because there's things out there, right? That you can, and there's so many ways, different ways to connect. Like if you feel like, okay, I don't want to be by myself or I don't want to be awkward, like you could literally be in a group of people, maybe that you don't know, but it's easier to like connect that way. Um, so there's so many ways. Another thing is like join community groups. Um, join community groups and basically start participating. So what I mean is don't just lurk in a group, don't just be staring at people's intros. Don't be just staring at people's invite. Like, if someone creates an invite where they're like, "Hey, anyone want to go out for a few drinks or anyone want to go out for like happy hour?" Like, be the first one to join it. I think like what's missing is a lot of people will complain that they don't have friends. But they don't install themselves. Like, remember I talked about visibility? Like, you have to install yourself. Like, no one's gonna do it for you. Like, you need to put yourself in there. And then you keep on doing it over and over. It goes back to consistency. So when someone creates something, you basically volunteer yourself. Volunteer yourself to go and don't hesitate. Um Also, post your own events. So if there's events that maybe you're not interested in, post your own events in these communities. So when I say these communities, this could be like on Facebook. You know, like Facebook now has like a lot of people are creating like in different cities where you can like actually meet like girlfriends. So one of them is like TGC, like, which is Toronto Girl. No, well, there's one Toronto Girl social that's on Instagram, but there's the Toronto Girl Collective for Toronto, and then you go in these groups and then you plan stuff, and people will post events, and then maybe you join in because you don't want to go by yourself. I just feel like in this day and age, like there's literally no excuse for not learning how to meet people. Um, like there's no excuse for like n- like not meeting period because there's so many different ways. Like you can go through events, paid events, free events. They even now have like hot girl walks or even hikes now, like where they create a whole social around it and you guys can go together around your own age group. Like there's no reason like why you're not like making a friend unless you're not like consciously making effort. um Another thing too is you can't make friendships based on your feelings. So what I mean by that is I had to show there have been times where I'm just tired or I'm just uncomfortable and I'd rather just be home in my house. Um and the thing about it is like when it comes to making adult friendships, like it requires effort. Like it requires some type of effort. So you may have to go after work, you may have to go alone. You have to start somewhere, guys. You may have to be awkward for a while. Um, but you have to tell yourself so when you're going to these events, like, you're not signing some contract and signing your life away. Like, if you go to an event, you maybe go for an hour. Or you tell yourself, you know what, I'll go for 45 minutes. And then if I feel like leaving, I leave. But the thing about it is like there's really no pressure. So when you're going to an event, like just because you go to an event doesn't mean you have to stay till the end. It's like if you don't like it, you just leave. Or if you feel like, okay, I got my social fix, and you leave. And then maybe like I would challenge you to even just connect with one person and get the number. And so that way you can like continue the dialogue and you can see the fruit of your effort, right? The thing I feel like you don't want to do may but sometimes it may happen, but you don't want to go to an event and then not connect with anyone. Like you don't leave at least with a number or Instagram. Like you need to like at least connect with someone, especially if that's your goal of making friendship. If you just want to socialize and be around people, fine. But you have to make that goal like conscious effort. You're like, okay, I'm gonna at least connect with one person. Like it doesn't have to be five people. Just connect with one person. Um, but the goal is that you want to be in spaces where connections are happening. And also like usually when you go to these events, like especially when they're meant to be social, Um, it's like usually people have the same goals. I've noticed that like when people show up to these type of events, like whatever it is, whether it's an interest, hobby, whatever, it's usually people that are yearning for like connection. It's usually people who also want to meet other people like in the same hobbies or same interests, whatever it is. Um, like like it's never like the person's going out to make a friend. Or they're not looking to socialize. Like if they're going to that event, they're looking for other people who socialize, who are friendly, who are open, to connecting. Um, so that makes it even easier because you're in a space where people are want connection. They actually want to connect and see something grow, right? So if you're in a season like you feel like you have no friends, I want you to know that you're not stuck. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Um, and so yeah, the whole point of this live was to just show you like I want you to know you're not stuck. Um, when it comes to building friendships, especially for in a season maybe you have no friends or you maybe just have to change your friends. You know, friendships can get stale. It's a thing, right? Friendships can get stale. Especially if you see them not putting effort or the effort has gone down. Like sometimes it's a sign that you need to make new friends. Um, so you need to put yourself in rooms. Like that's the goal here. And go consistently, follow up. Like be a follow-up queen, okay? Join groups. Don't give up just like after a few times. Like it's gonna feel awkward, but you just keep have to keep on going. And I also created a journal around friendships. You can go on my stand store, in the link description, and you'll see it there. And basically it's a great journal to basically help you reassess your friendships and basically help you make new ones. And so it's in my stand store, it's in my description. If that's something that you've been wanting to do where you're like, oh my God, I'm tired of not having friends, like, or I want to reassess my friends, I'm not liking my friends. Like, I've had a lot of moments like that where I'll be like, oh, I'm not liking where this friendship is going. Like, I'm not a fan. And then you change it up. So that journal, like that friendship reset journal, will help you so much. So definitely go in the link description. And check it out. So yeah, so if you're just watching it now, like feel free to watch the replay. And yeah, let me know what you think. Things you've tried when it came to friendship, but I'm just sharing my experience in cultivating a community. All right. So have a good day. Bye. See you tomorrow.